Hello my friends, my name is Legend Ronnie and this game is Rise of Civilization. What this video is going to be about, full infantry guide. So I will try to help you and guide you the best way I can. This is my setup which I started the game with and I have invested a lot of time with. So I'll try to explain to you how am I using it, which are the commanders that you could use it, show you the talents and obviously show you some battle reports, how well I am performing with this particular setup. Now for further information, if you are interested, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any videos or tips and advices from me or any further guides. Because obviously after this infantry guide I'm obviously going to do the cavalry and the archer guide. Also is going to be a mixture of troops guide, because that is what people are also using, especially in the early levels of the game. So let's get started. Full infantry guide. Right, so my best option for infantry right now is Charles Martel. From what I know, Charles Martel is accessible even on the new server, so he is a commander that you can start working from the early levels. My best option that I can use for my full infantry guide is Richard I. He is accessible on my server. On the new server he is not very accessible. So a second option that I would advise you for Charles Martel would be Joan of Arc. Now furthermore, going down, some more options that you could use for your infantry guide. It could be Eulji Mundok, which is a full infantry commander as well. He has a lot of skills that can buff your infantry. And after that, which it might sound a little bit weird, but it can be Frederick I. Now the reason I'm saying Frederick I, that is because the amount of nuke that Frederick can bring to your infantry. Now Frederick with his first skill, he can bring you quite a lot of nuke. Now not to go any further, he has a healing factor. Now this is very essential for any infantry setups, because you are very tanky, you can resist and soak up a lot of damage, and you also need heal to try to replenish some of those ranks. This is how the infantry works. Not to go any further, you have a leader skill which is completely great. The reason why, because you can bring more infantry than your opponent into the battle. Now if you're starting the game, if you're still in the early levels of the game, this infantry guide could only serve you to prepare for the future of the game, or how would you like to advance, or where would you like to be at some point in the game. So basically you can plan ahead and do your plans by leveling your commanders. So at some point into the game you have your commanders ready, you have your troops, the amount of troops that is needed for that group, and you will be ready to kick some serious ass. That is correct. So personally it took me nearly 2 months to be able to prepare my full infantry setup, but here I am, I've done it and I'm very proud of it. Now I'm gonna show you the talents. So these are the talents that I would personally advise for your full infantry. So you have to do the full infantry path. All the talent points, they are very helpful. Now when you go on the defense path with your Charles Martel, if Charles Martel is going to be your main commander, you have two options. I personally went with this one with the Studo formation. It has a 10% chance to reduce all damage taken by 60% on the next 1 second. Now the reason I went with this one is because first, you can generate more rage. So if you generate more rage, your commanders are going to use their main skill faster, so that's going to help you. And then your troops start with 9% defense. That would depend on the star of your commander. Well, my commander is 6 star, So that would mean 9% defense. So that's even more defense for my infantry. A second option that you could do, because for example I mentioned setup like Charles Martel and Eulogy Moondog. Well, on those setups you do not have heal. Or for example you might want to go Charles Martel and Scipio. This is a viable combination as well. But on those setups, as I said, you do not have heal. So another viable combination, if you do want to have some heal, or for example even if you use Charles Martel with Joan of Arc, if you do want to have some heal on that particular setup, you can go with medicinal supplies. This is 300 healing factor, and this healing factor will be used when your first commander uses his skill and when your second commander uses his skill. So that's basically a 600 healing factor, which is not something you want to throw away. But then you have to trade that part for this part. So it's basically a matter of choices. I personally have Richard I, which does a serious amount of healing. But if you do not have Richard I, then you might want to think about that path for healing. Now there are other infantry commanders. For example, we have Sun Tzu, which is an infantry commander. But let's analyze Sun Tzu a little bit. So Sun Tzu's first skill is focused on nuking. Alright. Sun Tzu's fourth skill is just going to increase his nuke damage. Sun Tzu's expertise is just going to boost his main skill. So how can he be a very good infantry commander? Then he has his second skill, which is for garrison. The only skill that can help you on your infantry is this one, which reduces the damage taken and gives you a 10% infantry health bonus. So that looks pretty empty for me, Sun Tzu, to be considered an infantry commander. Obviously, he has an infantry path and he has a nuker path. Now personally, if you actually want to use Sun Tzu for infantry, there is only one way I would personally use him, and it's not very a nice way to use him. The only way I would use him as an infantry path is with Richard I. And you have to build your full infantry path, and if you still have points left, you should get rejuvenate. Now the reason I'm saying this particular path is because you will be very tanky. One, you will have troops recovery, which Richard, that's what he does, is going to heal up your troops. And third, Sun Tzu needs to have his expertise unlocked, so that way he's going to keep using his main skill over and over and over. But personally, I would try to avoid direct combat with this particular setup, or one-on-one, because Sun Tzu's main skill is to use in a fan-shaped area. So there you go. You can use Sun Tzu for infantry, but a very limited use and not really that great. Sun Tzu would serve much better as a full nuking path with another nuker. That's how I would see Sun Tzu working. Now we have Eulogy Moondog, which is also an infantry commander. So if you go into his talents, we can see that he's full infantry and attack. Now I would say that Eulogy Moondog is a very interesting commander, and you might want to take a second look onto him. So in my advice, if you want to use Eulogy Moondog as your main commander on your infantry, I would say that you should do the full infantry path, obviously, and then get a fortress. So you do that, you get a fortress, and believe me, if you group Eulogy Moondog with your Frederick I, but Frederick needs to be the second in command, then you'll have a crazy nuking infantry setup. So you'll have a lot of tankiness and you'll have a lot of nuke. If you want to try this setup, you're probably not going to regret it, especially if you're going to fight cavalry. Now, I didn't mention at the beginning two very important things, but I'm going to mention now. When you plan to level up your commanders, it's very advisable to get their first skill maxed out, so make it 5 out of 5, max it out, the first skill, and then try to proceed further with their level. Now the second thing, the talents only work on the main commander. So it is very important who you choose your main commander. Now there might be other viable options with your infantry. I just tried to give you a couple of them, or probably some of the best ones. Now I'm going to show you the results of my infantry and how well they are performing into the battles. So this is the scout report. So this is the one of the players that I fought with. 225 tier 4 cavalry, 6-star Minamoto with an almost maxed out Cao Cao. And this is the battle. Now I asked him before the battle if he wants me to use less troops. He said he's going to be alright. So I had 29,000 more swordsmen than him. But I would say that the levels, because you can see his Minamoto is level 60, I would say that the levels and the skill difference, because I don't have any maxed out of my infantry commander yet, so I would say that the levels and should have made a difference if he was going to win. And these are the results. So I was left with 144,000 troops. Now let's check some troops buff. So I was obviously in my alliance, he was in an alliance as well. So his cavalry attack was 107%. Now someone said, and people keep telling me for a while, that 1% attack is like, one attack is like 5 defense. But I'm not sure in this case it's going to apply, to be honest. You can see how good I won, and you can see the skills of my commanders and the skills of his commanders. So I would say that the infantry setup is pretty strong and is a very good counter for the cavalry setup. And I was using the talents that I just showed you on my Charles Martel. Those are the talents that I used for this battle. So the amount of defense that infantry can get is tremendously high. Now obviously, as I mentioned, Richard I is not a very accessible commander in the new server. So obviously I'm going to show you, which I said the second option is with Joan of Arc. So Charles Martel and Joan of Arc, and I was not in my alliance. I was fighting my alliance members, so I fought 3 members in the same time. And I was not in my alliance, so I was not benefiting from the alliance technology or the shrines and holy relics. So I managed to beat all 3 of them. I had 25,000 troops left. They are all tier 4 troops. Then again, they are all tier 4 troops. And then General Wasabi is basically a free-to-play player, so he had tier 3 troops. But the point is, there were 3 armies on me. So there were 3 armies on me, and I had Charles Martel, Joan of Arc, and I still was left with 25,000 troops. And I won. So I would say that it was a pretty good victory. I was impressed that I won. I was basically just wanted to give them a win while trying to kill as many of their troops as I can. But when I noticed that I actually won, I was literally impressed. So this is how strong Charles Martel and Joan of Arc can be. But again, my Joan of Arc is maxed out. So that should be everything that I have to mention. Not a particular advice that I can give you about the full infantry, is mainly about the commanders, which I mentioned it in some of my other videos. So in order to get a 6-star commander from 5 to 6 star, you should expect somewhere around 450 stars. So this is how expensive it is to get a legendary commander. So you might want to consider how many legendary commanders you want to level in the same time. That's why I focused on one epic and on one elite, which is the blue one. It is very important how you spend your resources and how you throw your resources away. For example, you can see in the image my Minamoto is level 40, so my Minamoto can go to 5 star. But I'm not going to waste resources on Minamoto right now to get him to 5 star, because I already have a cavalry commander and my Minamoto will never gonna be at 6 star. And that's why it's resource management is important, how you throw away your resources. Don't just spread them around and get a lot of commanders to 5 star and then you're going to be stuck and not have any 6 star commander. That is important. You saw when I was fighting Sir Jazz, he had a level 60 Minamoto. Well, that's what dedication means. He had an even better commander than me, maxed out. So he was truly dedicated on his cavalry setup. Probably a little bit disappointed after I kicked his ass, but infantry is a counter to cavalry. I proved it so many times, but now I wanted to do a full guide. If there is any other information or if there is anything you would like to ask, always drop a comment in the comment section below and I will be happy to answer it. Until next time, this is your boy Legend Ronnie signing out. Peace out, yo!